has been crazy, just wanna be okay. How can I pick up the pieces when everything breaks with every day? I'm getting older, I feel the weight upon my shoulders. I'm strong enough, I'll rise above. It's all gonna be okay. If I can be anything, I think I'm gonna be me. I know I gotta be me. Nowhere else I wanna go, no one else I'd rather be. I think I'm gonna be me. Just trying to navigate. Oh, I keep on believing I'm gonna find my way with every day. I'm getting older, I feel the weight upon my shoulders. I'm strong enough, I'll rise above. It's all gonna be okay. If I can be anything, I think I'm gonna be me. I know I gotta be me. Gotta be me, me, me. There's nowhere else I wanna go, no one else I'd rather be. I think I'm gonna be me. I know I gotta be me, me, me. There's nowhere else I wanna go, no one else I'd rather be. I think I'm gonna be me.
Happy What Up Wednesday, everybody. And for all of you wondering how it is that I manage this miracle of maintaining the same time for everybody in the UK and Europe, I think 3 years of experience completely effing it up has got me to this place where I now know, okay, I have to then stream at 1 o'clock until we fall back, and then I go back to 12. But now we have debriefs. We have debriefs where people can sign up and get coached for their match video for different regions of the world. So then I had to change the debriefs, but only the debriefs for that region, because we also have New Zealand, Australia, and North America. And I got to figure out how I'm going to change the times according, for those people, because November 11th is when they spring forward. It's a shit show, you guys. It's a shit show. But it's okay. I have gradually learned my lesson, and I'm very, very pleased that you are here to learn some lessons with me about time changes and time zones. I'm just kidding. We're going to do some really cool stuff today. We have some really kind of unusual clips. So we're talking about concepts that we've talked about, we talk about on a regular basis, because practice is perfect. Practice is improvement. I don't know. What's the cliche everybody's saying these days? I don't know. But we have some interesting illustrations that I'm really pleased we're going to get into. So this ball intentionally over the end line, managing the penalty stroke, and then when penalty stroke. When? There's only 4 topics, 4 clips, and I have no doubt we are going to go through the whole time, because they are, they're really worthy of a lot of discussion. So I'm really interested about this. I start turning off Discord about an hour before, because I'm like, friends, whoa, I just can't. But on the note of the Discord, I just wanted to make a note of something and to thank everybody. We have a channel in there called FHU Fit, and it is for all of us to talk about the things that we do to train for our general health as well as our umpiring performance. And about it's exactly 43 days ago, I restarted a 100 push-ups program with the stated goal of the program is to be able to do 100 push-ups in a row, and I'm talking full standard push-ups. I don't necessarily think that I'm going to get to that. I've set myself the interim goal of trying to do 50 in a row by January 1st. And what I asked after I'd gotten into it, and I think it was about 10 days in, because I didn't want to get that dopamine hit of, oh, you've set a goal to do something, congratulations. And then everybody applauds you for actually setting a goal, and then you don't actually do anything that you are required to do to get to that goal. So I waited until I had that established in my own practice a little bit. But then I asked for accountability. I said, if I don't post a screenshot of what my workout was that day and whether I accomplished all the workouts or not, I would like you to post some GIFs and taunt me and, or actually be nice and just say, hey, are you doing okay? Would you like some accountability? Hand holding. And I would like to thank William, Simon, Steve Denman, Ben. There's a few other people who have been really, really great about also sharing their experiences and keeping me accountable. And yesterday I did my testing and I'm at 20, and I'm really happy about that. I was really surprised. I didn't think I was going to get that on that. I get tested every week. So if you are thinking about establishing a new habit, and I'm a big fan, like if you've read James Clear's Atomic Habits, if you haven't, are you one of the 10 people around the world who hasn't bought that book? I'm a big fan of the little changes because they're just so much more sustainable, and you can build so much momentum by linking those little habits together. And if you're interested in doing that with something about your health, your performance goals for umpiring, playing, we don't care about that, then come into the Discord server and hop into that channel. I'd really love to see you there and be able to share in all of your triumphs and all that sort of things with you. Is the DJ air horn working? Look, let's wait until I see somebody new and then let's surprise ourselves. Let's find out. There you go. Samantha, great to see you, as always. My sister's in the house. Making mistakes is how we learn. Well, there's that. Yes, absolutely. And you look forward to complete misinterpreting your own thoughts in the comments. Excellent. I mean, we all have life goals, right? We all have life goals. I think this looks a little big, so I'm going to just wait. Yeah, let's do that. Okay. Now that I've given a little sermon, we're already 12 minutes in. I want to jump into the content right away, but sometimes I want to share something. I want to share thoughts and share my gratitude because it's a good way to start. Where is my glass of wine? Rob, it's a trendy thing. All the kids, all the crypto NFT bros say it. When moon? When drop? Look, I don't make the rules. I just abide by them. All right, let's go. Playing the ball intentionally over the end line. And big thanks to the Johor Hockey Association for this footage and for all of the stuff. There is a link in the description to Ashley Morrison Media's playlist where he's got all of the Sultan of Johor matches, not just of this year, but of preceding years. It's excellent production value, and Ash is doing a ton of work on his own to make sure that this stuff is getting out to the hockey public. So please do go and subscribe to his channel and take in the hockey, appreciate and watch the ads, and do all those things that we do to support our hockey friends. So there we go. Oh, you're already back. That was quick. And Allie's here. Excellent. Yes. Raghu is posted here, and it's great to watch him. Yes. I mean, Raghu is a good friend of mine, so I love watching him too. Hang on. That is not what I'm looking for. I'm looking to replay the whole scenario here. So this was a fascinating little play. And what I want to do with it is not necessarily, we're going to obviously get our opinions into the poll because I want you to exercise your decision making muscle. But I'm really going to take this as a launch pad, because we might look at this and just on the face of it say, oh, I know what I'd call here, and just have what we might characterize as a gut feeling, a gut reaction to seeing this. And I mentioned it in the server that from some of the reading I've been doing lately about psychology and learning and decision making, that gut feelings really aren't, like, instinct isn't anything that's mystical or detached from actual knowledge. It is knowledge, and it is all drawn from previous experiences of that person, of that decision maker, either specifically in this particular field, no pun intended, making these decisions before, learning from those mistakes, having a body of data to draw upon, or generalizations that they take from other fields that they then pull into things. So you might say somebody seems to be an instinctively good decision maker. For example, when I started working with my friend Dennis Zaccanini here in Calgary, he, for his lack of experience in the sport of hockey, he was really good at being able just to sort of understand what the decision would be without even knowing or being able to point at a rule. And that came because he had a long history of being a football referee. And from that knowledge and that sense of what is fair, what is dangerous, how do athletes compete with each other and all that sort of thing, it was really interesting to watch that was the experience. And that is where his gut instinct came from. But it was just embodying all those principles into a database that he could very quickly access in the moment, and that gave him a feeling. But really, it was just quicker decision making because all of those elements had been primed in their thing. I'm just making sure I'm seeing things. No, okay. I have the moderators channel open, by the way, for all the moderators. So if something screws up and I need to know about it, I should see it this time. And actually, it might be beeping at you guys. So let's do the right thing here. And do not disturb. How's that? You might be hearing all those beeps. Sorry. Jason's here. Nice to see you. And oh, no, this, I would just be like, oh, I would just watch that ball cross in front of me not being able to catch it, and say, oh, there it goes. So I hope you've had a chance to go to the poll. The poll was in the comments a little bit earlier. If you don't see these should come up automatically, and you can just scroll up if you missed it the first time. Go and vote, because I want you to make a decision. And then what we do is we're going to break down why we're making the decisions we are in the moment. Okay? Hey, Murph, obviously we're talking about umpiring, but as a goalkeeper, if your defender did this, you'd be having words. Yeah, I mean, it's one of those, when we look at it from a hockey playing perspective and a decision-making perspective, it's not a great life choice, right? But you can see what the player was trying actually to accomplish here. And my gut feeling when I watch something like this tells me this is not a penalty corner for me. This is not playing the ball intentionally off the end line. But it's not good enough to me to be able to just to say that, because I know that my gut feeling is based on, I don't know, watching probably 1,000 matches over the last few years, being a part of hundreds and hundreds of international matches in person, multitudes more of domestic matches, coaching hundreds of umpires. And so that is not a gut instinct. I have just an immense database, but I'm trying to find a way to give you all a shortcut so that you don't have to take all the time that I've done to build that database. I want to make that accessible for you. And we do that by looking at principles. So instead of saying things like, one of the big things that ends up happening is you hear this phrase, it was only going one way. And I'm afraid I'm going to have to throw a flag on this. We introduced this concept in the last broadcast. Ed Hockley, my hero, the stud, NFL American football referee, set of memes about logical fallacies. This could be, and I've been trying to turn this through my mind because I'm not sure if I've got the right one. So I have a few options. But when you say something like it was only going one way, that could be the fallacy of hasty generalization. The conclusion reached without considering all the variables. Point no good. Just because you come to the right conclusion doesn't mean that you've done so on the basis of good, solid analysis and that you've practiced all the steps that you need. And that you'll come to the right decision the next time you have a similar situation or you have to make that decision again. And what I'm trying to do is arm you all with those tools, right? So if it's not that, it could be a non sequitur, attempting to link 2 points that have nothing to do with each other. And just because, I mean, the thing is that when a ball actually moves in a direction, it can only go in one way. Physics dictates that. There's no mystical force that is going to change things afterwards. So that absolutely does not determine anything, which might actually mean that it's circular logic. So the argument has no supporting evidence. So it could be any of those things. So what I'm trying to do is get to this. And I developed this a little while back, and I've been pressing it in the server, and I've been pulling it out every time we have a discussion about intentionally playing the ball off the end line and how to make this determination. Because I truly believe that if we have a list of things, a checklist that we can practice that we go through in our heads, that we are going to get to the best decision, and we are all going to come to the same decision. Because looking at the facts, it's very easy to look at the facts and come through this entire thing. So I'm gonna roll back to the replay, and we can run back to this. I need to have this queued up in front of me so I don't miss any of the points here. But one of the first ones we're going to look at is the directionality of the defender. So when this defender is making the play, and the idea is that we're going to look at all of them together and combine them. So one of the issues here is the directionality of the defender. His shoulders, his hips, his feet, his head are all pointed off the end line. Absolutely. Okay. Excellent. We've got that well under wraps. The next thing we would consider is where are the attackers vis-a-vis the defender? Where are they spatially in the area in which the defender is playing the ball? Are they under pressure? Are they in front of the ball? Are they to the side or in the back? Because all of those things impact the pressure that is on that defender. So if we go back to this play, well, there's nobody. So there's very, very little, there's no pressure. There's absolutely no pressure whatsoever. There are no attackers. Okay, so we've taken care of that pretty nicely. What kind of contact does the defender make with the ball as they play it? So do they edge hit it? Do they duff it? Does it go off the side? Do they swipe one way and it just edges off in some fashion or another? And what we see here, if I just sort of comb it back a little bit, and I'm going to play it even more slowly. Well, not that far. Okay. So the defender is coming and diving, and he reaches out a stick, and his stick here is at an angle, something like that. And as he hits the ground, the toe of his stick is in contact. And then he tries to make sure, then he tries to edge it. And so he doesn't get good contact with the ball. And the ball pops up into the air. And then we have the movement off. So he doesn't have great contact with it. Okay. The direction of the swing. So let's go back to this again. That's too far. Okay. How does the player move his stick? Okay. He's reaching out to the side and moves his stick sort of like this way. And part of that is because he's diving on the ground and it's difficult for him to actually get the kind of movement that he wants on the stick. Because what he's trying to do, I believe, in this situation, he didn't take his stick back in a backswing this way. He didn't wind back this way and then swing through towards the end line. Okay, that wasn't the direction of his swing. It was more that he just sort of bunted it like this, but he didn't have enough on it. And because of the edge, it didn't go quite where he wanted. So you can sort of see as we start really breaking down all these factors, we get closer and closer to a really clear picture, I think, in our heads of where we would go with this. And then we look at the degree of force. So if a player gets all that good, tasty contact and hits the ball hard, we have more information, right? We're going to look at how long was the ball in play. So in this scenario, I mean, it was only from here to here. And what I mean from the ball in play, time the ball in play is if the ball gets contacted by a defender, say here, and then it goes all the way, and then it goes off the end line there. That's one possibility, one way of looking at, or if the contact is here and then it doesn't stay in the pitch for very long before it exits the field. That's what I mean by describing that factor. Okay, the distance from the goal. So how far away from the goal did this happen? Because we understand that if a defender plays the ball off the end line and they're close to the goal, they're under a lot more pressure not to screw that up. Whereas if they are, say, way out here and close to the sideline, there's not a ton of pressure. And I needed to flip back to this scene so that you can see they're pretty far away from the sideline. I know this is very basic, right? This is it feels overly simplistic, but we go through all of these things because every single fact scenario is wildly different, or as we'll see in our second clip of this topic, maybe not so wildly different, but somewhat similar, and it helps us to apply the factors in a sensical way. Body control. So, did the player have really full confidence and full contact in their body so that they were in control of what happened with their stick? And what I find interesting about this particular play as well is that we look at the sliding tackle, for example. And I'm drawing an analogy here that when a player goes in for a slide, the reason that we look so dimly on that action is because a player in a slide loses control of their body. They are not in control of whether they're going to continue going and how far they're going to go. As soon as they go down, it's like, let's see what physics tells us. And they don't have a way to break their speed, to change their direction, none of that. They are out of control. So I look at that in this situation and think, here's a player who has gone down into a slide and they don't have a ton of control over their body anymore. Right? And then the last one, this is one that I just added after watching this scenario because I was like, okay, I mean, it's not often you have to consider this, but what was going to happen in this scenario had the ball not been played by the defender at all? It would have gone off the sideline. And this gets back to Murph's point earlier. It would have gone off the sideline very deep, close to the corner flag, in what would often be considered for attackers, you know, a very suboptimal area of the pitch, that deep left corner. They don't like initiating a set piece from there. So, had the ball not gone off on the end line for a 23-meter restart, it would have been a deep sideline ball, arguably a better option. And that's why the choice of this player to try to, if they were trying to play it off the end line, that's like, why? And you take all of those things together, and what you get to, I think, when you add up every single one of these things and you weigh them and you put them in a pro and con, uh, two different columns, and you accord them weight, and maybe you do some kind of maths. I don't know, maths. Let's not go there. It gets you to a decision, but it has nothing to do with it was only going one way. It has everything to do with all of these things that impact our read as to whether a player intended and we're in total control of their action. I'm supposed to be doing push-ups now. In playing that ball of the end line. All right. Let's have a look at what y'all are saying and see what you think about all this. Good to see you live here, Richard. Good to have you. And that's Murph's comment that I just wanted to bring up again. Murph would be like, why? And maybe the goalkeeper was yelling at him saying, no, leave it. And maybe the defender just had one of those sort of, blood rushes to the head and just didn't see that. Read the players. Even the attacker was asking for the ball from the patrol. There's that too, right? So we can, perhaps take some input from the players as well. But as I've probably mentioned a few times before, I think that can kind of get problematic because sometimes the players don't understand the rule and the way that we're trying to interpret it the way that we want. And that's another topic of conversation that we've had in the last week in the server is that are we there just to do what the players expect or are we there to educate them? Because in applying the rules in the best way possible, we are going to give them the best game. So if we don't do that and we umpire down to their understanding of the rules, are we going to give them the best game possible? I say no. And I think it's our job to give them the best game possible. So I refuse to umpire down. And I insist on taking on the responsibility to be as good of an educator and facilitator of great hockey as possible. Okay. It's hard not to react. Poor William, he accidentally let those words go in the server earlier, and the GIF was unkind. My David was very much in that anger thing. Taco. So what is the purpose of this rule? Excellent, about playing balls over the back line. And is that applicable in this case? No attacker was disadvantaged for you, a 23-meter restart. That's another sort of general way to look at it. Absolutely. And maybe that's something that I should, to me, that's not a factor to examine, but it's probably where I should have started. So thanks for that, Taco. That the intention of the rule is that defenders don't get a get out of jail card and be able to put the ball out of play and move the ball then 23 meters away from their goal in a situation where the attackers have to adhere to the 23-meter area free hit restrictions, et cetera, et cetera. So that's a good point to make. Thank you for that. Rob, the defender presumably would prefer a side-on hit to a piece. Well, yes, that's the other thing. So that's the point 9. Thank you for that, Sebastian. Good to have you, friend. And hi. Yes. Jonathan, you're with Mr. Scott, 23-meter restart, corner long, as you say here. Don't worry, Jonathan. You get to be the one. You get to run out to all of your games in Switzerland and educate people on correct vocabulary. And if you haven't heard me say this little bit before, it's not just because I love being pedantic, because obviously I do. But the purpose of it is because we have a global game, we are in a global community, and we should all be on the same page. And it's really difficult to communicate with people who are burdened with the task of understanding hockey in not their native tongue, but in their second, maybe third, fourth, fifth language of being English. And then we start using all kinds of crazy terms that we think are cute or are the terms that we use in our area. So that's good enough for everybody. No, let's not be colonialist about it. Let's actually give everybody a hand and use the correct terms being what is in the rule book, because you have a source, you have a reference. You're very welcome. That could have been around to the week. Hello, sir. You just joined a Keely saying words. It was only going to, it was there. There you go. Thank you. And this is really one of the challenges that I think is up to us to take on as umpires, is not just to be, I don't want to say lazy, just to not challenge ourselves to apply a more rigorous process to all these things. And I'm not saying that it means that every decision you're going to pull out a checklist like this and you're going to go, oh, that's about 50% there, and I accord 70 points on that side. And that's not how you do it. But you see this and you apply a checklist several times, 10, 20 times, and all of a sudden you're making decisions that are accurate, that are for the best of the game, that are in line with international standards. Whereas some of us, idiots out here, had to take years to figure this shit out. And I don't want you to take years. I want you to get there. And always be cautious about trying to be too clever. Hence, when the majority of players expect a certain decision, most often they're right. Maybe. Maybe. As I've said. A dumb decision can still be an intentional one. That's a good point. That's a good point. But that's why I don't take simply factor 9. You know, was it a net improvement for the ball to be played off the end line? That's why we take all the other ones together. We weigh them against each other. The body control, the degree of contact, the force that was applied, the time the ball was applied. Like we add all these things up together and weigh it and go, actually, no. Every day, it's twice on Sundays. That's how it works. It's every day of the week, twice on Sundays. I learned that one from my friend Michelle, who lives in Atlanta. Okay, so let's go to the poll and see what y'all have said on this, and then we're going to show another clip and see how we apply the list and get to the result in a similar but not identical situation. So here we go. Ball played off the end line, and only one person who voted out of the 16 people thought it was a penalty corner, and otherwise 15% were on the 23-meter restart train. So thank you very much for that. I appreciate that. And it's about, yes, it's about building our muscle. And I'm giving you the technique that helps you build the muscle and giving you some protein and some creatine and the amino acids that you need in order to be better muscular umpires. Oh, that doesn't break down. As an analogy. Let's go to this. Now, thanks very much, Greg, for letting us use this clip in out there in the public, because he posted this in Ask FHU, and I was like, oh my god, this is pretty, like, this is on the theme of, oh, and what's happened here? This is very big. This is very much on the theme of what I had seen in the Sultan of Johor Cup. Thank you very much, Johor Hockey Association. So let's have a look at this one and go vote. Apply the factors. Apply the factors as quickly as you can and get to this result. Get to your decision here. Greg has asked us not to talk about his positioning, so I won't. And so I'm going to just as you guys are watching that, I'm just popping that onto my video pencil feed. And repeated application of the relevant question. Yes, we are training. We are in training, friends. That took a long time to pop up. I mean, really, it's if you're going to get caught like that, that's pretty good recovery. Well done, Greg. Okay, so let me bring up my video pencil here. So as this ball's coming in, here's our defender. Okay, directionality. Sort of, shoulders, head, everything is kind of pointing in this direction. You can argue. Okay, where are the other attackers and such? He's got quite a bit of pressure coming in from behind him, but he doesn't have anybody in this area that he'd be concerned that if he made a solid reception, that he'd have to play through, he would have to dribble around, all that kind of stuff. So I would say that's some pressure, but not maybe the most amount of pressure. As a defender, I'd be like, oh no, if I stayed on my feet, look, I'm not here to criticize how players like to go sliding on the wet turf because it looks like a lot of fun. It's just not something that I'm capable of doing at my advanced age. So, he's got a passing option here. He's got Buddy over there is going to be under pressure right away once that ball comes in, so probably not the option. He's got a nice outlet this way, right? So that's sort of the attacker or the attacking structure that you would want to take into account. And then we look at what kind of contact does the player get with the ball. Okay, go back. That's not 5 seconds. Okay, maybe it is 5 seconds. Yeah, 5 seconds, not 5 frames. That's why. Okay. So, what kind of contact? Is this a forehand reception, upright, solid hands? No, it's a one-handed reverse edge attempt at an interception. Okay. So we've got that to keep in mind. What else do I have to think about? The direction of the swing, degree of force, and the time the ball was in play. Let's see if we can get that really fast. So, degree of force. So, stick is here, and then it ends up sort of there, and there's an extra follow through that comes in that direction. So instead of the swing being again from behind and coming through the ball and the swing directed in the direction of the end line, the swing does attempt to come around. There's that little flick of the wrist, which clearly isn't enough in that moment, but was the attempt. Was he showing that, no, I'm just looking with the directionality of my stick to send that ball off the end line. Okay, degree of force, time ball was in play. It was pretty close. Body control and balance. Okay, body control and balance. Again, he's sliding. He's got one hand on the ground. And he's literally falling at the moment that he impacts the ball. Pretty tricky, right? And is this a better result than having to receive the ball and play it? Absolutely. Okay, so that's a pretty standard. Yep, there's enough pressure around that. And had he not played the ball, it would have gone to an attacker who was here and lots of threat. Okay, so do we weigh all that out? And what do we get to with this. So this, I would say, there's more factors in favor of a penalty corner or more weight towards a penalty corner than there was in the first clip that we saw. But there's a lot of similarities in terms of the actual ability, the control, the swing, the force, the contact that's made with the ball and the stick and that sort of thing. Let's see what y'all have here. Hadrian, easy PC for you. The problem with sliding as you get old is that the fun is over when you remember you have to get back up. Yeah. See, long memories, long memories. Has to be a PC. The defender knows what will happen if he hit the ball at that angle. And as you say, there's a few players to pass to if he stopped. Okay, but that means that he has more ability to do something, so he's under less pressure and needing to send the ball off the end line. So that is actually on the contrary side, right? We have to keep that. We have to be disciplined about that. Don't use the same facts to argue both sides of the argument. That doesn't work. I'm trying to say it in words that actually make sense, and it's not easy. It's not easy, but I see you, friend. I know what you're doing there. Probably not intended to risk a PC, but given the control, apparent skill, and alternative options, you're okay with a PC here. And yes, and that's not true either. And that's just a misunderstanding of the rules as compared to how field defenders can play the ball and how goalkeepers can play the ball. Very different. For me, I do not see this as a penalty corner. And the reasoning for that is I'm looking at what the player is doing with their stick. And they are really trying to sweep this ball. When I look at the stick motion here, but for the lack of control in going to ground, and if they had gotten better contact on the ball, if the skill had been executed better, that ball would have gone out that way. So are you penalizing poor skill and mistaking that for intent? That's what I think is happening here. So although this is closer to a penalty corner, this is not a penalty corner. Because we're not penalizing poor skill. Let's look at the poll, because having looked at the comments, it appears to me like it's going to be a lot closer in this one. Right? 13 of you, 60% of you want the penalty corner, and 38% of you looking for the 23-meter restart. I hope that the way that I led you through the factors here helps you, again, allocate the right amount of weight to all those things and have empathy for what players are really attempting to do with skill. We do not discourage players from going to the ground. It is a completely legitimate thing to do. What we discourage players from doing is going to ground in a way that's going to cause danger to anybody else, just like we discourage players from flinging the ball in the air in a way that's going to cause danger, or dribbling in a way that's going to cause danger, or et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And we get a little bit overly punitive when we see players going to ground. Oh, okay. No, I felt it. I felt the pull. I felt the pull when I was going through the checklist to start saying, but if he plays it like that, it has to go. And I'm like, nope. Right? It's not easy. It's not easy. It's still a defender trying to make a challenging interception while sliding, closer to a PC, but it's still a 23-meter restart. Thank you, Sebastian. I'm glad somebody's on my side. Okay. He's not trying to whack it out of play. It's just skill level. And you're happy to have your mind changed. And absolutely. Look, Rachel, I know that your trajectory of understanding is just, you are on a learning curve that is awesome and you've been very diligent. So I have faith in you. Stephen, you apply the same concepts to your donkey of the day votes. It's for poor decisions and not poor execution. Excellent. I like that. I still like to call people dick of the day when they try something and they totally F it up. I think it's fun. Makes sense for Samantha, always making well, yeah, that's the thing. And it's okay. And look, Greg is an FIH umpire, and I don't know if his decision is very apparent when you look at this, but I believe you can see that he's calling a penalty corner on this. But he also looked at it afterwards and thought, I don't know. I don't know. I want to get some more opinions on it. So I really appreciate any umpire that goes through that sort of thing and has the self-awareness and the confidence and the desire for better understanding to put that in front of their peers and say, could you please give me some feedback on this? Because I want to get this. I want to understand why I made this decision and how I can make this decision better in the future. And you're okay with both those decisions. Hi, Andy. Good to have you. Okay. So, as you can see, that took 50 minutes of 2 clips, but I really wanted to spend the time on this. I don't know if this is a complete list. As I said, I added 9 to the list because I didn't ever think that it would be, I thought it would be obvious, but apparently it's not. It's something that might come into play. So add it to the list. And if you think of something, if you've had a decision to make on that particular method of restarting the game, because it's not a foul, how was there something that isn't covered here? Because I want to make this a complete list. And if I can simplify it anyway, while still keeping all the meaning, please, this is a work in progress and I need your help for that. So don't be shy. Come into the server and give us a wave, give us a hello, give us a bit of feedback on that. So that would be really nice. Okay, let's see what is next. Flowers. Yes, let's do it. Okay. I have a few people I would like to congratulate on a few different things. And I would like to thank those people for providing me with their fodder. If you would like me to make an inordinately big deal out of you in public on YouTube, then please come to the server. We have a Sellies and Wins section. Photos are excellent because then I can do stuff like this and go, hey, Marco Ackerman, I hope I spelt that right. I couldn't find the correct spelling and I was like, but congratulations on your first international experience. Now, although it didn't count as an international cap, still to be able to do a warm-up game between South Africa and Dame Kasim, as I like to call him. Have you guys seen the meme? Damn. And that's what I think of whenever I see his name and I'm like, damn. Right? It works. Okay, so Dame Kasim and the rest of the South African team and Kenya played a warm-up game before the Africa Hockey Road to France Olympic qualifier that started on Friday, I believe. I haven't been able to take in any of the games. If any of you have had that chance, you've seen it, and you want to sling a link my way, I would love it because we're getting to the thorny end of the tournament and there'll be some really good games on offer. And I want to see how those umpires are doing and how they're handling things. But big congratulations to Marco. He's quiet in the server. He doesn't often post, but I know he comes in a lot and he's absorbing and he's watching What Up Wednesdays and things like that. So I'm very proud of him. Good job. The next one I'd love to give a shout out to, Gayatri again is doing amazing things. This is Gayatri at the National Games in Goa, India, and she was invited to come along and be an assistant to the CDM for that tournament. And obviously she's having an amazing time and look at the hockey in the background and all that kind of stuff. So just as umpires, we have so much more to give to tournaments and to our league competitions and events. And, don't be shy about handing all that confetti for that. Some massive confetti for that. Good job, Gayatri. Sorry, I stopped that. a little soon. And then the last one, my friend Jamal. Jamal just, Atlantic Conference Umpire of the Year. Jamal was my co-UM for the under 18 national tournament this summer past and was part of our team that was at the EHCO inaugural tournament in Amstelveen in April, which, by the way, we are going to be returning to. So if you want to find out more about that, there's a place to go. It's called The Server. And I have to create a new channel and do all those things and start talking to people who are there. The tournament is doubling in size. So that's the thing. And I just wanted to include this. I can't play the music because I will get a takedown. But this is just, it just makes me smile and giggle. And if you remember seeing this, Mike McDowell made a hilarious comment at the end that disrupted us in our Justin Timberlake dancing. So, congratulations, Jamal. And Ali, I know you're here in the chat, and I'm sure it was a tough decision between the two of you. Next year, Ali, next year you will be umpire of the year. Okay, let's move on to our next topic. And apparently, let's see, I did spell it right. Thanks, Yaku. And I did get it all right. Okay, good. I get really worried about misspelling people's names. Is that also how I say Don Kamala's name? Don. Okay. Here we are managing the penalty stroke. This is the Pan Am Games. It's going on right now in Santiago, Chile.
Up against Maiko Kasea. And Kasea with just a flick of the wrist. It's not a goal. It's a 16. It's the footwork of Kasea. Well, the goal has not been given.
This game was a really interesting watch because, I watch Argentina, both the women's and the men's teams, playing so much at world level competition, and then they come back to PAF, and they are the number one, right? They've been the number one for a very long time, and watching them interact with the umpires at this tournament, watching their discipline and composure. They have such a different approach when they're here than when they're playing Pro League or things like that, which I found really, really fascinating. And the question that is in play here, and a lot of people didn't know what to make of this when they saw it at first. It's not often I can say that Charlie Broom had it right. When Charlie, you're great, don't worry. But he did pick it, that it was about the footwork of Kasea here on the penalty stroke. And the key here is watching what Ben does before he's blown the whistle. Okay, I'm just teeing this up here for y'all, so it's pretty clear what is happening. So as he's setting up, you can see Ben walks around. He takes a little peek. So he's looking for that left foot of Kasea. I'm not sure if Ben said anything in this moment, and it isn't super important because we can talk about and work out through ourselves what we would do at our levels of play and whether that should be different than what we would do at the Pan Am Games, for example. But clearly the goal was called off because Kaseya's left foot was in front of the ball before he began to play the penalty stroke. And just to be totally sure, let's pull up the rules so that I don't mess this up. Okay. This is really, really small for me. Okay. And it's sub D here. The player taking the stroke must stand behind and within playing distance of the ball before beginning the stroke. Okay. Those are very different and intentionally different words than before the ball is played. Because the ball is not played until the stick makes contact with the ball. So if you couldn't stand in front of or you couldn't have a foot in front of the ball until the ball was played, that would mean that your timing on how you would move and pick up the ball and then fling it would be totally different. And that's not what we're looking at. But it's at the outset before the ball has been played. And I think that's an important distinction for what we're looking at in this scenario. Because there's a way that you can be proactive about the foot placement. For example, that you can't break the line before the ball has been played, because you know the ball doesn't get played until a particular moment. If they're already standing in front of it, well, they're not lined up in the right place, and you can move them back. And I'm thinking about the way that we approach penalty corners and how, for me, I want to stop saying that phrase. It's agreed. It is consensus good practice that when you are managing a penalty corner, if you see a defender, goalkeeper, any of them, with their foot in front of the line or on the line, that you move them back before the penalty corner is being taken. It's part of your management routine. If you see attackers who are inside the circle, including on the circle, before the ball has been played, you move them back. Hey, get back there. Get your stick off the ground. If it's the stopper, for example, you will be proactive and you will change their positioning. So what I'm interested in hearing from you, because I've been turning this over in my mind for a week, and is there something different about a penalty stroke that would mean that we don't take that same proactive approach that we would on a penalty corner? And so I'm doing that in the spirit of saying that I assume that the umpire here, we are assuming that no proactive steps were taken, because if the proactive step was taken, and at this moment when Ben steps around, he looks and he says, move your foot back, and the player refuses to do so, well, you've got a whole different issue, don't you? So whether that communication happened, whether that communication was understood, whether that management happened, we don't know. And that's not crucial here. What's crucial is the way that we look at this for our stuff going forward. So I'd love to hear what you have to say on this. Richard, at club level, you would be proactive and advise the attacker to stand further back, just as you would advise the goalkeeper not to move. Okay. I gotcha. Well, this is why I'm a professional. And yeah, that's our general goal, is to get everybody to play their best possible game. Thank you. That's very much the lines. Murph, everyone in this chat's going to be watching penalty stroke takers like a hawk now. This is unusual. For the thousands of matches that I've watched, I don't remember ever having to do this. So from a principle basis, why does the rule require you to stand behind the ball? Well, if you're standing in front of the ball, you are already closer to the goal. It would only make a difference, I think, if you I'm not sure what difference it makes, because what we're trying to discourage is the ball being released the shot being taken basically closer to the goal than is fair, which is the rule against dragging the ball. Which is why if your right foot is in front of the ball at the moment that you pick it up, you are going to be dragging the ball. And that is a foul. But when your left foot is in front of the ball, what advantage are you truly gaining? Because the ball is still going to be released. And especially in this particular stroke, he doesn't move his feet after he's set up. So does he gain an advantage because his balance is in a different point and he's able to do whatever? Is that enough to say, look, that's just too much? That needs to be essentially a free hit defense. And that really is what needs to be the decision, because it is, if you're disallowing this goal, it's because of a foul by the attacker. But his left foot can be in front of the ball while his body is behind the ball, so he could be considered to be standing behind. Just happen to have this photo. Just happen to have it. I'd like to give thanks to the person who's going to stay anonymous who sent this photo to me. Thank you very much for this. And this appears to be, can't say for absolute certain, but when you look at the shoulders and the hips and the feet, this looks to be a nicely square on photo. And knowing where the photographers are on this pitch, it's a pretty good chance that they are about 9 meters from the end line. And this is a pretty straight on angle. And you can see the left foot in front of the ball. I am going to accept this as being probably the only time where we have a still photo and we're learning something. And this is right at the moment where Kaseya looks up at Ben and he's waiting for the whistle to be blown. So when he stepped around, you were assuming that he was checking the ball was actually on the spot. Yeah, and that's a good, I mean, maybe that is a more correct assumption than the one that I made, but both things can get checked at once. It doesn't have to be a binary there. And you can see from the picture there, it's close, but that's what I do when I line up the ball. I put it as close within millimeters as I possibly can. I do that on my ejections as well. It's like right on the inside edge because I'm an asshole. Does it make a difference for me and my skill level execution? Absolutely not. Perhaps it's assumed, Samantha, that this level of play, the player should know the basics, like where the feet should be. In your opinion, a quick reminder takes a second while you get into place. And that's the interesting dichotomy, right? If we take that angle that at this level of competition, players should know better, when do we say the players don't know better? And it's our job to correct them. What if this was the under-21 Pan Am Cup? What if this was the CAC Games, which is the qualifier for the Pan Am Games? So senior teams, but a regional qualifier to get to this tournament. What about at our national prem level? What about at under 18? And you start to get into a situation where I have a hard time seeing where we would draw the line, but maybe that's just my lack of sort of forethinking and that sort of thing. By the rule book, it should be a free hit defense, but in your fair mind, you would think a retake here. That is if you're going to make it an issue. Okay. For Neil, I don't want to talk about your fingers. We could be proactive, but at this level, we should we have to explain the rules? So back to Simon's point, his left foot can be in front of the ball, but his body is behind the ball, so he could be said to be standing behind. So that is a bit of the potential ambiguity of 13.7D. Must stand behind and within playing distance of the ball. If we say that a player is standing behind the line, their feet are behind the line and they can be leaning over, correct? So if we generalize from that, if we extrapolate from that and apply the same principles to this, then you would argue that this is standing in front. I think. So it was a good point to tease out though. I like that. Alistair, you believe it is an advantage. If you start behind the ball, you need time to move into a position to push, giving the goalkeeper more time to react. Okay. Yeah, I'll take that. I'll also counter that with the my own personal knowledge as a stroke taker that I love now that I have unlimited steps, basically. I just have to be within playing distance. But I do the crab step when I walk up to take a penalty stroke because that momentum of my body gives me all the power I need to beat goalkeepers at my level, as long as I actually hit the goal, which is not a guarantee at all. So it's actually an advantage to me in the way that I'm taking a stroke to not be in front of the ball, but to be well behind the ball. Some people who haven't seen these more modern forms of stroke taking believe it's an unfair distance away and it's ridiculous. And why do they get to run up to the ball and all that sort of stuff? So I don't have, this isn't for me a sort of a definitive, this is here or there. But I was surprised, even though at international level, that I didn't see any evidence of a proactive step being taken to move the player's foot. If a goalkeeper had lined up on a penalty stroke to defend, and I was the supporting umpire at international level, and the goalkeeper's foot was starting in front, I would have moved them back. And then if they did something during the taking of the stroke that broke the rules, then you address that within the scope of the rules. But I wouldn't allow them to be in front and then have the stroke be taken and then say, oh, they left early because they started with their foot in front. If I noticed it. And we looked and we analyzed in great depth after the semifinal at Euros between England and Germany when we saw the two retakes, the one retake and the two video referrals for the strokes on the goalkeeper moving early that, on the first attempt, the goalkeeper wasn't even, they weren't even on the line and I don't think, but okay, I should scratch that and take that out of turn because now I don't want to be misremembering. Yeah, see, now I'm obsessed with thinking about it. So I think that if we would treat the goalkeeper in that manner, then we have a duty to treat the stroke taker in the same manner. That seems to me like an instinctive fair thing to do. If they don't have the ball in the right spot, I wouldn't call a free hit defense because they haven't put the ball in the right place. I would move it. I would have them move it. So you can't take it from there. You got to move it back a few millimeters. But let's see what you have to say on this. My voice went off briefly, but then it came back, and that was about 45 minutes ago. Okay. That is definitely not the poll that I'm looking for. So how about we go find it? Okay. So all of you are saying you would be proactive, and then if the player didn't respond, it would be no goal. Like all of you were in the proactive camp. So 9 of you that way, and then 4 of you would say proactive, and then if the attacker violated, it would be a retake for you. I'm in the C camp, so but I can understand that, and if that's your initial reaction, that totally makes sense to me. It's something to think about, and because it's so rare, because I haven't seen this happen, I haven't seen players want to be in front of the ball. like that at top levels, we have an opportunity to have this dialogue and this conversation and make sure that we are all in consensus, and that when we express fully the concepts of what's fair, what what makes sense for why the rule is there, then we can all get on the same page with how we're going to treat this. So I really appreciate your contributions because it puts us on that road, I think, with there. But I will continue gathering feedback on this. And if you happen to be an umpire that was close to this situation and you want to reach out, please feel free. And know that, again, I am not dragging anybody for this. And I was actually really impressed with the way that everything was handled in the game in terms of the management and the way that the umpire spoke to the player and the way the umpire spoke to the Chilean players to make sure that they understood what was happening. There was a lot of just really, really good communication all around. And Kaseya, in that moment, I've never seen him so composed. It was just amazing. And the whole game, very much, the whole team just played within themselves. And I attribute that to good management communication by the umpiring team, particularly in this game. So just because I pull out this moment doesn't mean that I have any sort of criticism about the way that things were handled. It is a question, and it's something worthy of us discussing. So I hope that was good. Luke, I'll just pull up your comment here. If we're not proactive in managing some of these positioning aspects, we're punishing after the action is taken, and it feels like gotcha umpiring. Yeah, I mean, that's my gut reaction to it, my experience of what I've gathered, but now I want to go through and examine it very carefully. What's different about this from a penalty corner, and step by step it, and make sure that I'm not getting misled just because I have a lack of experience in this one particular decision. Right? So I hope that helps you sort of understand the way that I approach these situations and the way that we talk about them. All right. So as we do every week, I'd like to remind you that What If Wednesday is brought to you by Mission Control. Fuck. Mission Critical Positioning. Can I just shoot myself in the face sometimes? Mission Critical Positioning. So if you haven't signed up, get on the train. Woo, woo. It's not that it's leaving the station. There will be many trains, but I think you want to be in the engine rather than being in the caboose on this thing. I'm still receiving some really good feedback, and I had a really nice debrief with William Mewis in Yellow on Monday. We went through his video and just being able to watch an umpire putting MCP into place and just looking so composed and confident and just awesome presence in his match is just so rewarding for me to see and just got me so excited. So this is available for everybody. It applies to all levels, and it's something that, takes some thought and some work, but I'm here to support, and the whole community is here to support, and we have lots of great discussions about it. So don't be shy about signing up, and if you have any questions about it, hit up in the comments, reply in the replies on YouTube, come into the server and give us a talk about it, because we're here to help and to get you there. And if there's any of these left, this isn't firing properly. Let's try it this way. If I do this and then I do this, yes, the fobs. The fobs are, half of them are gone now because Mike McDowell took them all. So don't sleep on this. If you are looking for a way to help support the community and you want to just have a nice, quick, easy way to show people that, hi, let me take you to what MCP is. Scan this. Go get some of these fobs. Better yet, you could even buy something out of the shop and we'll just throw a fob or two in there for you. A water bottle, a mat shirt, something like that. Is this going to work? Oop. There you go. You could buy a skirt, and you'll get fobs along with it. Well, this is very interesting. My buttons are doing weird things. But those are available to you, and that is what makes these productions possible. And as always, I thank everybody who shows their confidence in me by actually putting their money down and investing in themselves and knowing that I am trying to take them on a journey of improvement in their umpiring. And if you're a FHU 3T green or yellow member, you're not just helping yourself, you are supporting me and the rest of the community in being able to provide these streams to all umpires around the world who maybe aren't in a position to be able to financially invest in the products and the mentoring and things like that. And it's really important to me that we're still able to offer that. So thank you to all of you who are doing that. Okay. Back to the programming. I got 10 minutes. I got 10 minutes for this one. And see, I told you this was going to take a while. One penalty stroke. Because I didn't know what else to say about this one.
A little bit of a wait. Well, here's a change. Looking for the snap. Shot comes in. Finish. And that is probably going to be a stroke. Fair this. I think it hits the defender's body. That's Leahy, who's committed full length. Wow, that's
Also
a stroke. I think.
As you could probably see from the Pan Am Sports Santiago 2023. What's been really interesting about this broadcast is that we are often not getting, we don't get the video umpire feed
it's come off the post. It's another penalty corner
on the broadcast. But that is being shown on the big screen. Sir. Huh. All right. All right. I see what's happening here. I can do this really quick. So what we end up doing and what they're showing on the broadcast is they go up to the big screen where you can see one of the screens that the video umpire is looking at when they're conducting a referral. Not all of them, because I think there's 4 screens that they look at. It was on the Pan Am Hockey Instagram feed. They showed a day in the life and video umpire sitting in front of the monitors and looking cute. And I quickly glanced and saw, oh, that looks like about 4 screens. So one of those gets piped onto the big screen in the stadium, and it's a very, very big screen. But in order to see that on the broadcast, they actually take the camera and they go on it, so you can't see anything. It's not very definitive whatsoever. So it's a different approach. At least we know what the video umpire was. So this is an example of it right here. This is one of the video umpire screens. So let me know what you think about this in the polls, because we've had a few conversations over the last few weeks about penalty strokes being decided or being awarded when the ball wasn't necessarily going towards the goal. And this is a little bit, again, a derivation of some of the examples we've seen recently. Simon, I'm glad you like it. And yes, I love the duffel. It's my favorite. We are almost out. So if you are thinking about this and you want to get one sooner than later, you better order one now, because I think we only have 3 or 4 left in the stock. And I'm trying to figure out a way to make it economical that I can get some more done. And yeah, we'll see what happens. Get that defender a goalkeeping kit. yeah, that's Kat Leahy. She has no problem in sacrifice. She's one of the veterans of the squad, and she's very, very committed. You just buy a pile of stuff for your club? What, from me? I didn't know that. And yeah, Rachel, you better love it because you put up more photos of that duffel than you do of even the ducks, which is just astounding. Thank you very much. You're not sure your current kit sponsors who love elephants. Oh, okay. Yeah. Yes, exactly. Okay, so let's just have a look and see what we're dealing with here. So on first glance, what it looked like was that you had, when you look at it from this angle here, and let's see if I slow it right down. Okay. The ball is coming out, and you see the reverse stick come in, and you see the defender laying out, clearly playing the ball with their body. So when you watch from this angle, you think, oh, that's clearly a penalty stroke for preventing a probable goal with a foul by playing the ball with the body. And it's not until you see this picture where the post player makes their save and then they then move across to try to finish the clearance, and then the attacker then plays the ball, and actually the ball's direction is coming this way when it strikes the defender's body. So if you just take that, you'd say penalty corner. However, do you look at the actions of this attacker in the manner in which they dove, putting their body on the ground, creating a long barrier, as an intentional foul or recklessness to the result of creating a foul in this moment? So I'm interested in your thoughts. There's only 3. Yeah, there you go. Simon knows. There's still a potential that there's a goal scoring opportunity denied here by the defender's leg. Okay, let's get really clear on the language that we use when we're talking about this, because it's not a goal scoring opportunity. Those are not the correct terms, because we award penalty strokes when a defender commits, and we're looking at 12.4a here, for an offense by a defender in the circle which prevents a probable scoring of a goal, not just a goal scoring opportunity. That's an opportunity is like, could be anything. But it's a denial of a probable goal. And I should link to this. Note that I've done a few streams, and one in particular, maybe it's about 2 years ago now, where I did a whole analysis on what a probable goal is. And I kind of just said, a pretty fair estimation is 75% chance. So it doesn't have to be certain. It's not there's a chance, there's a chance. It's a probable chance. And I looked at the meaning of the word probable and how it's used in many other contexts and arrived at, it's probably 75% chance. So in that situation, are you saying that, that there's a 75% chance with the ball moving away from the goal that the use of the player's body stopped a goal? And I would say no. Yeah, there's a chance that something could have happened afterwards, but the ball was not heading towards the goal. Ooh, that's not okay. We don't football here. We do not sports ball. You can argue that the attacker behind the goalkeeper had an opportunity to play the ball had the defender not dived. Yep. But is that so? Are we looking at that is intent? Is it reckless as the result? Such that if that action happens outside the circle, but inside the 23, would we be awarding a penalty corner for that? For the breakdown of play? Thank you, Richard, for the praise of MCP. And what complicates this situation for me is I'm examining it, is that when I see, oops, when I see the defender's actions here, is that she's trying to time this and she's going to be reaching out because she is looking at playing the ball out here. Like, why am I pointing with my finger? She's gonna dive and try to thwack the ball at the same time out in this direction. Okay, she can see it trickling and she's like, no, I just want to thwack it away this way. But the attacker gets there first. And there's an impact that the defender makes on the attacker's stick in the moment. And then the defender falls. And this is very, very slow motion. And maybe that makes it, that's skewing my perceptions of how this goes. So this is 1 times slow replay speed instead of ultra slow. Because here we are not stopping a probable goal. We're looking at whether this is an intentional foul. Right? So we are looking at whether this is 12.4b, an intentional offense inside the circle by a defender against an opponent who has an opportunity to play the ball. So attacker did not have possession, but they definitely had an opportunity to play that ball. It's been a Keeley hour. Okay. And when it gets close like this, then I stay with the umpire's assessment in that moment of a penalty stroke. The problem with doing that here is that I'm not sure whether the ground on which the umpire awarded the stroke was the same one as what we are seeing now. That it couldn't have been 12.4a, but it was actually had to have been a 12.4b. But that very well may have been where the video umpire decided to uphold that decision. Let's see what you have. I don't know why it still shows that. So frustrating. You know, Discord, you really don't need to be doing this in this moment. Reloading and refreshing. Oh, it worked. So 65% of you are wanting another penalty corner, and 36% of you are looking at a penalty stroke. Okay, so a difficult decision. And I think in the moment, you have to make the assessment as to what the action of the defender is there if you think that that's reckless as the result of playing the ball with their body. And when players dive to ground and they create that barrier and they put their bodies on the line, that is one of those situations that it's like, well, if the ball is loose and you've gone down that way and you were in control of yourself going down to the ground, well, that's your price to pay. High risk, high action. So I can see the penalty corner, but I would stay with the penalty stroke on this one. But really, really, really dicey. Okay. Thank you very much for all of your contributions today. That was really fun. And I'm kind of getting in this new vibe of really, you know, sort of dissecting some of these plays, which means I'm taking longer to do things than I was before. I was going really rapid fire for a couple months, and then now I'm back to, okay, let's take 45 minutes for this. let me know what you think about that. If I should be going a lot faster, let me know. But there is a method behind the madness, and if it is helpful, then I will keep doing it. If it's not helpful, then I will modify it and I will switch. But we have definitely come upon a Keeley hour. 3 minutes past, but that's not bad. It's better than what I've done for a while. Don't forget, we have watch parties going on in the server for yellow members, and there are lots of tournaments. And sorry, I'm trying to keep up, but I'm looking at what games are being played when and this sort of thing. There will be I'm gonna do the 2 men's semifinals later on this evening for many of you, but not necessarily for the rest of us. I love tournaments in the Pan Am region because I don't have to get up early to watch them. So I believe it's Argentina and USA and Chile and Canada are playing in the men's semifinals, and then the women's semifinals will be tomorrow at the same time, so a little bit later. And Sultan and Johor Cup, I'm picking out matches. I'd like to pull out one of Chad's and give him the treatment and see if he enjoys that on replay. Nicholas, hang on. So you agree with the recklessness to the result? Yeah. Yeah. If you're going to take the chance of diving in the ball and you miss it, then yeah, I see that too. But it's tough, and it's not just tough because that's Canada. Just saying. Detachment. That is what I do. Yes, so lots of watch parties, and if you're wondering what that's all about, well, that's the FHU 3T, and that is yellow, and you could be a part of that too. We watch the games, so instead of just taking an isolated moment like we do here, it's a holistic view of the whole game. We have some really, really good discussions on how we step through in management and communication and presence and personality and accuracy, and we work through an entire game like that. And I've found it to be extremely useful for my own development. And I think for those who show up, they get benefit from it. So there you go. Ooh, Matt's shirt. Wear that Matt shirt. All right. Thanks for joining in. Enjoy your hockey this weekend. See you around in the Discord server. Don't be shy. Come say hi. It's my favorite place to be, and it will be yours too once you get in there. And we will see you next week on What Up Wednesday.